guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be watching a video called The Netherlands is the worst country in Europe. Here's why. Hopefully this is going to be a video of like, this is a title that's sort of like entertaining and it's not going to be actually like that. And it's going to be like the actual like reasons why it's the worst country in Europe. Because we don't want to start a war. We don't want to offend anyone. So again, hopefully it's gonna be like it's gonna be like a jokey situation and it's just like a fun title and it's gonna be actual like terrible reasons for like saying this, because it's a pretty big phrase, right? It's a pretty big title to declare Netherlands as like the worst country. Because I like how bad could it be? I don't know, but again, hopefully it's in a jokey way. Again, it's not gonna be actually offensive. So let's check it out and comment, like, subscribe, and start.
Hello, fellow travelers. Today, I'm going to tell you about a country that I didn't like. Officially, it is named the Netherlands, but my experience was specifically in the Holland region in the city of Amsterdam. The country of Holland is full of attractive people. Many people would like to move there to find love, because the Dutch are very good-looking people. People claim that there are jobs there, and that it's a very special country. I found out about this country online. When I arrived in this country with my son, the very first day was snowy. I stayed at Schiphol Airport for the first night because we landed late and security personnel mistreated us and were racist towards us. Most people spoke Dutch, which is a very hard language to learn. Some people also spoke English as a secondary language, but it was broken English, therefore it was very hard to communicate with them. I struggled, as the airport was the first encounter I ever had with the Dutch. The next day, I went to my hotel, which, by the way, was very expensive. I did not find any cheap hotels to stay at within the city of Amsterdam. I spent too much money. After staying 2 months in Amsterdam, I suffered so much. I wanted to leave, and I ended up completely broke. It was freezing there. There was too much snow and many bicycles everywhere, because the Dutch culture involves riding a bike everywhere, since the country is little. The Netherlands being a car-free country, there are not many cars around. As I said earlier, the Dutch are very attractive people physically, but they are very cold, and they will not socialize with you. They will never talk to you out of the blue. Instead, they just show you a fake smile. The fact that they constantly said, "Hello, hello," annoyed me so much, and I didn't like it at all.
Hello.
That's how they communicate, so you move out of their way, because they are commuting through the city using bicycles. There are also railways for cable cars on the streets, with the buses and cars and bikes, all of them using the same roads. I found it quite unorganized. It is a very small city, beautiful and old-fashioned, but it is full of canals and rivers, which I didn't like. I suffered so much. I became depressed since I spent so much money. I never even found a job to sustain myself, and I've been ripped off by 2 Dutch employment agencies. Because they demand you meet so many requirements to work, and it's a very closed country, you can't work or have access to basic services as a foreigner. If you are an American, I guess the same principles applies to any non-European foreigner. You have 0 possibilities of working in the Netherlands. I lived in Amsterdam, and after doing so for a time, there is nothing left for us. Let's also not forget that the Dutch are stingy and greedy. In most cases, they will not give you a handout if you're in need. Some people point out the greatness of the welfare that citizens of the European Union can benefit from, but that was not so great. Because I've met many people from Europe who still had nothing while there, as they spent all their money in that country, and especially in the city of Amsterdam. They read on the internet that it is supposed to be the best country, and that there are plenty of opportunities. But it's not true. Forget about going there if you don't have any money, because if you're unlucky and end up homeless, you can't even exist there. The police will arrest you and fine you if they see you sleeping on the streets. I met a girl from Germany, and she had a tough life in the Netherlands. She had trouble saving up money working at bars and hotels. Even with 2 jobs, she was not able to save enough money to survive.
What?
It is very hard because the system is made to benefit older people. Older people's wages are way higher than young people's. It's
As
a
it should
system
be.
where the older you get, the more you get paid. The most important thing you need to know before moving to the Netherlands is to bring a lot of money with you, because you are going to spend
like 3
a
times.
lot on hotels and going out. This is especially true in Amsterdam, which is a very small city. You could literally walk across the city in 1.5 hours.
What?
Also,
Really?
consider in winter it is very cold, very windy, very snowy, and in Amsterdam, there are not many places to sit. There aren't big shopping centers to go shopping. The only places to go are McDonald's and Burger King, which are places most people gather and drink. In reality, this country isn't that great. To be honest, I didn't find it was the best country in the world, as the internet claims.
Okay, yeah, it was obviously in a jokey matter, but I have to say some things. I'm not sure. I have to say, first of all, I know it's the Netherlands, but I know that people, why is it Holland? I've never really understood what like the actual difference between Holland and the Netherlands actually is, because I know the official name is the Netherlands, but I don't know if Holland is like one of the countries that are part of the Netherlands. But if that's the case, then what other countries are part of the Netherlands? Because I know you don't call it Holland anymore. I think that's like a very like 50 years ago you would call it Holland, but it's the Netherlands. So I'm not sure, because I don't really know how it works. I know it's the Netherlands, but I think it's because like it's sort of like she said, it's a lot of canals and a lot of water, and I think that's why it's called like that, because it's not just like one like mass of land. But I know that Sweden, I think it's also, or Stockholm, I think it's like that as well. Like they have a lot of canals, and the city is sort of like separated by canals. But you would call it Stockholm and you would call it Sweden. You wouldn't call it any other way. So I don't know why the Netherlands is a whole lot like Holland and Netherlands. I've never really understood what's the difference. But I'm not sure why it's like that. But I don't really know. I know it is a small country. But the Amsterdam thing being like you could go to like one end to another in just like 1 hour, like by foot. That doesn't seem like a joke. That seemed real, and that's surprising to me, because that's the capital, and you could just like walk over like in an hour. It's tiny. If that's the case, it's tiny, which I'm super surprised, because even if it was small, I was not thinking that you would like. I'm like, I'm gonna walk from one end to the other. It's just an hour. That's crazy to me. But maybe it was a joke. I don't know. But it didn't seem like a joke. The whole thing about like, oh, you have to like, it's like a lot of money. Everything's expensive. It's like, well, I'm guessing it's like, well, it's they're making fun of the fact that Netherlands is actually like a pretty expensive country, and they're like, oh, you're gonna be broke. But I think it's a joke, because I'm guessing that the Netherlands is actually quite expensive, even for like European standards. Maybe that's the case, and that's why she kept mentioning, oh, you're gonna be broke, you're gonna be spending a lot of money. But also, I think it goes without saying, like, if you're taking a vacation, of course you're going to be spending money. That's sort of like the case of like, I'm going somewhere, I'm traveling somewhere. Of course I'm going to be spending money. Like, that's the whole point of going on a vacation to another country and another city, right? It's implied. I'm going to be spending money in hotels, food, and I don't know, touristy attractions, because that's what you want to know. You want to learn like new places. You want to go to museums. I don't know. You want to do a lot of things. So of course you're going to be spending money. But I think maybe the joke is that the Netherlands is a pretty expensive country. I don't really know much about the Netherlands. I do. It's funny that Osha said, "Oh, like people they speak Dutch, which is a pretty hard language." Yeah, which yes, I agree. But it's funny that she was like, "Oh, and they also they speak English, but it's like a broken English, and you're not gonna understand." It's like, well, maybe like that's obviously the joke of being Americans usually are like, "Oh, like no one spoke English," like, and it's like, wait, why would you expect somewhere someplace else in the world to actually speak English? Like it's not a norm. A lot of people do speak English in a lot of countries, but it's not the norm. You should actually maybe try to speak the language in the place that you're visiting. But it's funny, obviously, that I think that was making fun of Americans, you know, like, oh, like no one spoke English. It's like, well, yeah, why would they? They are not in America, they are in the Netherlands. So obviously I would expect them to speak Dutch. So it's funny that and the size is like, but I actually either way, like people actually do speak English. So it's like, okay, and still you're complaining. Again, I think that's more like making fun of Americans and not of the actual like Dutch people, which obviously that really made me laugh. And the whole thing about a Burger King, anything McDonald's, which is like, oh, also super like cliche American, being all like, oh, what did you do? Oh, I went to McDonald's. It's like, you went to the Netherlands and you just like, you're gonna go to like Burger King or McDonald's, or I don't know if they have like KFC or like other like American fast food places. It's like you're not gonna like go and visit an actual restaurant, an actual like bar. You're not gonna experience like the local cuisine and actual restaurants. It's like, no, I had a burger, it's and a Coke. It's like, that's such an, again, making fun of Americans, which I think was really funny. But the thing also about being all like the Dutch actually do, like the longer you stay like in the workforce, and like older people earn more than younger people. Obviously, like that's a bad thing. It's like, well, obviously no, it's a good thing. That's how it should be, right? Because obviously if you have more experience, you're gonna earn more. That's what I would expect. That's, I think, the normal sort of like frame of reference. I think that makes sense. It's like, yeah, well, of course, if you have like 15 years of experience doing this job, of course you're gonna get paid more than someone who's just like entering the workforce or that's just starting doing this. So, and it's like, oh no, like if you're old, that's the only way that they're gonna treat you well. So obviously that was really funny. But it was very funny. But at the same time, I'm like, wait, I actually want to know, like, I want to know for real, like how the Netherlands is like. Also, the thing about the cars that shocked me, she did say obviously like, oh, in a jokey way, like it's just bikes and few cars. But is it actually like that? She said like car-free country, a few cars, but people do have cars in the Netherlands, right? That's I get that they're probably like they put a lot of emphasis on having bikes, and they probably do encourage its citizens to, hey, do not buy a car, go around buy a bike. Or maybe it's just sort of like in the society, probably people do know, like it's not like, oh, I'm old enough to buy a car, as it happens in a lot of other countries in the world. It's probably they have it's a society thing, and they know that, no, why would I want a car? I'm riding my bike as I've done since I was a kid. Maybe it's like that, and it's not sort of like, oh, I have to switch the mentality of like, oh no, I'm not gonna buy a car, I'm gonna buy a bike. It's like they probably are riding bikes since they're able to walk, so it's normal for them. But I think it would be quite shocking to like not see any cars if that's the case. She did say there's few cars, but maybe there's cabs. But also obviously you have public transport, which great. But do imagine they have like taxi drivers, because again, tourists have to, I don't know, if you don't really know, you have to like get to someplace fast. Or maybe like the public transport, it's so good that you don't really need cabs. It's like, no. And everything also, because it's so small, probably is because the city is very small. So it's like you're not going to be late. You can just walk around. It's okay. So maybe it's like that. But again, I'm super curious about that whole car-free situation, if it is indeed like that. But again, it's a jokey video that made me laugh. But I also I want to know for real, like how the Netherlands is like. But yeah, that was incredibly entertaining. Hopefully you enjoyed it as much as I did, and I'll see you next time. Bye.